We're good.
Okay, so we did catching. I'm Jacob, Dana, Leah, Alexa, Alex, and Kale. First thing we're going to go over is just an overview of what we did over the course of those 3 days. The first day we did initial assessment. We asked the kids to catch a big ball and a little ball with 2 hands and with 1 hand. We found that both the balls have equal difficulty catching, so there wasn't any differences there. On the second day, we added variations on top of what we did on the first day. We had different lengths from where we threw it from. We had 5 feet, 10 feet, and 15 feet. That gave us the ability to judge, their reaction time a little bit. We also did catching balls side to side on their sides and catching the ball high and catching the ball low. On the third day, we gave them focused instructions. For example, eye on the ball was the one that gave us the most improvement. Some other examples of what we told the kids to help them are here. So things like hands open, palms up, arms out ready for the ball, bring your hands together to catch, grip the ball, and follow the ball to your body.
Okay, so we'll just go over the stages real quick here as it applies to catching the ball. So the initial stage, the kids weren't really expecting. We explained to them what was going to happen. We're going to throw the ball at them, they needed to catch it. But then, without practice, they went into survival mode, like a reflex, where they just avoided the ball and turned, and were unable to catch the ball. The next stage is the elementary stage. There was a little bit of improvement with their reactions. They had their elbows down at their sides, so they were kind of more ready to catch the ball. But they used their arms more to trap the ball and use their bodies instead of just their hands. And then with the mature stage, there was no avoidance reaction. They were prepared. They followed the ball with their eyes, and they were prepared to catch it.
And now we're going to talk about the different preparation that each kid took when they went to go get ready to catch the ball. And in the video that's going to come after this slide, we actually have 4 kids that show different stages of preparation. We had Judah, who's 4 years old, and we put him in the elementary stage because he demonstrated he had his arms at the side, but they're out here at 90 degrees, and he was able to catch the ball, but it was kind of uncoordinated. He used his arms to catch it instead of just grasping it with his hands. And then we have Jack, who's 3 years old, and he's our prime example of the initial stage, because he starts out with his arms extended and held out in front of his body, and he's not really coordinated at all. His late reaction to the contact of the ball is as you'll see in other videos, his hand, the ball will hit his hand and then it just squeezes after the ball falls out. Then we have Molly, who's in between elementary and mature. She starts off her arms are extended, which is a sign of elementary and initial, but she's actually able to grasp the ball with her hand. And then Caleb is in the mature stage, and he was the best because he was actually able to get with the ball and track the ball with his hands and everything and go right in. So here's the video. Different levels of development for the kids. And then we're going to talk about some reasons why some kids, Jack included, had delayed reaction time. And it's just Jack is 3 years old, so he hasn't fully developed the myelination and everything hasn't completed. So his reaction time is slow, and reaction time is generally it's developed and peaks at around 20 years old. So these kids are still developing their reaction time, so that would explain reasons for why kids have
are focusing on the kids keeping their eyes on the ball. So we were looking at primarily 4-year-olds. The kids are down at the bottom of the slide there. So I think that age is a large factor in their lack of ability to fully concentrate on the ball. The kids would get distracted by who's throwing the ball and everyone behind that person. So that's primarily the elementary and the initial stage, but their cognitive function might not be fully developed. So we can see with a few of the kids, they were either overly exclusive or overly inclusive. So I'll just show you the video.
Nice job.
So she was able to keep her eyes on the ball as it was coming towards her.
Get your eyes on the ball. Ready?
So he kind of was distracted by
Keep your eyes
the
on the
throwers
ball.
behind him. She kind of closed her eyes as the ball was coming at her. So another pattern that we noticed, primarily with 3-year-olds in these videos, was that the kids would hit the ball instead of catch it. So that would be more of the elementary stage, but they were prepared for the ball to come at them, but they would hit at it instead of try to catch it. So that's almost like a survival reflex because something's coming straight at them. And so they would be we would prepare them, and then all the way up until the ball was right in front of them, that's when everything changed, and so it was hit at the ball. So,
So some initial stage characteristics that the kids displayed were extended arms, or extended intense fingers. Jack was a good example of that. May was a good example of palms held upward. All of them obviously didn't use their hands to catch the ball, and they all used their body to trap the ball, so here are some examples of that.
Nice job.
You can see his extended intense fingers there. And May's right hand, her palm is facing upwards.
Alright, so kind of along the same lines, they use their body to catch, and that's somewhat in the initial stage just because either the ball's too big for their arms, or even in the small one, they just don't quite get how to use their hands to do that, so they bring it in towards their face like this, which these are a few examples of this, and oftentimes we would see this when we would remind them to keep their eyes on the ball. They'd actually be looking at it all the way up until it hit their face, and then they'd grab their arms toward it. So you'll see an example of that here.
okay, so another thing that we noticed, at one point we had the kids try to catch the ball with just one hand. So we would have them put their arm behind their back. And Reed was the only kid that we noticed this with, but when he went to catch the ball, he, even with both of his hands, when he went to catch it, he would catch the ball, and then when he would throw it back, he threw it back with his left hand. So that was something that we didn't initially think about, but we realized that when the kids would throw the ball back to us, we could determine like what hand they primarily used.
Nice job. Oh man, you must play baseball. Nice job, Shrek. Nice.
So you could also tell when the ball was coming at him, he was able to catch it on his left side a lot better than his right side, which is a little bit more along the lines of our project specifically, but it is hard to tell handedness with catching, especially when they're using both arms. So that's just a little bit of a way that you can catch that. And right-handed was a little bit the same. The throwing group, thanks to you guys, we had some really great throwers, and you'll see some great form on some of these, but for the most part, you could tell their handedness just by their high fives or whatever it was, but there's a couple examples here of just the way that we were able to determine their handedness, and it's a little different for every kid. Caleb, he wasn't able to catch on his left side too. And Jack did everything with his right hand. So another thing we saw with Judah there is when we told them to put a hand behind their back, most commonly they would put their dominant hand behind their back just out of reflex. It's their one that they always think about. So that you can see he completely wraps around his back like really awkwardly. But you can tell because when he holds out his left arm, he completely doesn't know what to do with it too. And it doesn't even move in one of them. So that shows a little bit of the handedness that we saw in the kids.
So being over-inclusive is to try to include too many surrounding activities into your environment, and clearly with what's going on around us, a lot of kids struggle with this one. But with Molly, which was our first example, right after giving her instructions, she immediately turned to all our stickers and tried to catch all those while listening to us, and it did not go over well. And then we also focused on Holden and Gabriella. Holden just could not keep his eyes on us. He just kept on twitching. And Gabriella was a great example of this. She was all over the place. So. So this was right after we told her what to do, and then she just ignored everything and started focusing.
Now, a little fun back.
Alright, and then over-exclusive on the other end is trying to exclude too many things in this situation. And notice how all May, Rio, and Molly all let other situations go right in front of them without blinking, without even realizing that those went past. So notice where May's eyes were when she tossed the ball. She was not focused on anything else.
There you go. You want to play next? Oh, okay. Nice, Molly.
And then our last one. So for one-handed, we had them put one hand behind the back. Like they this group was actually able to be successful except for Rio. She was the only one that was actually able to do the task that we asked her to do. Just about all of them were in the initial or elementary stage. Most were in the initial stage. So notice how Patrick here is unable to track the ball towards his body, kind of like sticks it out there and rely on like a good throw in order to get anywhere near catching it.
It's hard.
Patrick Jack, with his delayed reaction times, unable to do much with his one hand.
Alright, so some of the kids that did master the one hand was Caleb, Isabella, and Kylie. Some mature stage characteristics that they displayed was following the ball with their eyes, watching their arms adjust to the flight of the ball. Kylie didn't have no avoidance reaction. That's something that's initial stage. And Caleb was a good example of having strong fingers and a strong grip. Here's some examples.
Who's the professor? Sorry.
Just
So we concluded that with the girls, they were over-exclusive. They kept their eyes on the ball for the most part, and they focused throughout each day. And compared to the boys, they performed better at the one-handed catch. They had a better hand grip, and they were well-timed, and they adjusted their arms. And Kylie, Isabella, and Molly all displayed the characteristics of a mature stage. Kylie and Isabella were able to catch one-handed and grasp their fingers, and Molly was effective to be able to track both the small ball with one hand and with both hands. And then with the boys, most of them were over-inclusive. They were unable to catch one-handed, and they were unable to really keep their eyes on the ball. And due to that, they had a delayed reaction. And we noticed that Caleb, who was 4, had the best performance and consistency. He was able to catch both one-handed and with both-handed, and he was able to move his body with the ball, which was really important. And then here are some difficulties that we noticed, like failure to give with the catch and keeping fingers rigid and straight, and then taking eyes off the object. And then for conclusion, we noticed that the girls pretty much performed better than the boys. We saw a difference with the 3- and 4-year-olds. The 3-year-olds had pretty much like no control over their body, and their cognitive function wasn't really well developed. And the 4-year-olds were more mature and had more control over their bodies. We didn't really see a drastic change in the 3 days. We thought if we had more time, we could probably see more of an improvement. Do you guys have any questions?
Besides the age difference, what else do you think can contribute to some are doing better than the other?
What was that? Sorry.
I said besides the age difference, like the 3 and the 4-year-old, what else do you think is contribute to some of the kids are doing better at catching than the other?
I think a lot of it maybe had to do with a previous experience. You know, if they have siblings or parents, or they played on some kind of team, you know, even soccer, baseball, anything like that, they would be more used to or more experienced with catching balls, you know. So if they've done it before, then it would be easier for them. Whereas some of the girls, you know, had never even attempted it before.
Molly and Isabella were actually our best overall catchers. Like even when we were done doing all video and everything, they came back and we literally played catch for like 15 minutes, and we had them do a bunch of different things, and they were very, very skilled at catching. So Isabella's dad is Steve Riddle, so we associated that those two have played catch, and then also Molly has older siblings, older brothers.
I have some questions. Let's see. So why the hand behind the back? You thought they were going to be able to catch with a hand this big, you know? I mean, what was the goal there?
Well, a lot of it was the stages too, because like the initial stage, a lot of it was the extended fingers toward the object, that sort of thing. So developmentally, if they were able to grab it with just their hand, because the ball was squishy, you know, it gave a little bit. So actually in the couple last videos you saw there, Caleb and a few of them were actually able to grab the ball completely and throw it back, which is kind of what we were hoping to see. The video just before that, you could tell a lot of them, they would just hit their hand and bounce off or whatever, which is a lot of what we saw, but some of them were actually able to grab it, and that was more the mature stage. So that's just a little bit of the stages.
I would check Caleb for stickum. All right. Let's see. So why was there a difference between girls and boys?
We pretty much know, like, most of the girls we thought they were old. Like, there was a lot of 4-year-old girls, and we just saw that big difference between the 4-year-olds and the 3-year-old with, like, the boys.
So it's not a gender thing, it's an age thing.
That, as well as girls tend to develop sooner than guys, and we know that's a fact. So we were focused on that.
And the girls were also paying more attention. They
But
kept their eyes on the ball. And
that's when they usually
And a
have.
lot of it, like, the exclusiveness, yeah.
Most of them were. So
They were able to follow directions a little bit easier. For instance, like Judah,
yeah.
sometimes he would follow directions, sometimes he would just run away. So I think the girls were a little bit more,
Yeah, compared to the boys, the girls.
they were more into getting stickers too, getting rewarded for what we asked them to do.
And just that idea when you started, and you might have covered it, I was writing notes, but I just wanted to go over again the idea of that avoidance. So you say, you know, they would move their head, they'd close their eyes, they'd do. So what do you think about that? Is that too broad?
You mean just as far as like their reactions, like the reflex?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. That it was a reflex.
Yeah, I feel like it's a survival reflex.
What happens to reflexes?
They fade over
They get,
time.
they get overridden by upper brain function.
Higher cognitive
Higher
processes. See, and that's what's happening as they age and mature. Now, and so what's the girl that's so good?
May.
The tall, lean
Kylie.
Kylie. You said she didn't have any fear or anything like that. But what I want us to remember is her brain now has said, look, I know I got this reflex, but I've overcome it with this higher. Another part of my brain is taking over. So I'm not on the survival, the infant reflexes or any of those kinds of things. I'm able to say I can catch this thing, and that's what's going to take over. Just wanted to make that point. All right, anything else, anybody? All right, thank you.